do that because they love war, but quite to the contrary. They love their lands, their homes, their meeting houses, and their freedoms. And like few generations in the history of the world, they were willing to fight and die to protect all of that. Now there's a story that illustrates this, and I pray you'll pay attention to for just one moment, about a young man who came from immigrant stock. He came from across the sea seeking a better life in America. He found himself fighting for his new country, not his old one. That young sergeant stood on top of Fort Moultrie in South Carolina in the Charleston Harbor during a very dismal hour of the American Revolution, when two great man-of-wars, two British gunships sailed there into the harbor. They opened their cannon ports and began raining cannonballs down upon that fort. One of those cannonball scholars caught that young Sergeant McDonald sidelong the belly, took away his stomach entirely, knocked him to the ground, and killed him. However, in the closing seconds of his life, because that's all he had, he said something to his friends that they never forgot, even when they were old men. He did not ask them for comfort. He said, "Lads, don't let liberty die with me." He knew that he was going to die, and he didn't want his death to be in vain. They were not doing this for themselves. They were doing it for future Americans, which is all of you. Now, lads and lasses, as time passes on, you may not remember much about today. You perhaps might forget the strange clothing, or perhaps the old language, or even the food. If you forget all of that, there's one thing we hope you would take from and remember from today: that there were Americans, and there still are Americans of every sort, who love all of you. They love what you believe in, enough to give their lives. For I know we didn't feed you very well today. You might be a bit hot sitting in this field. Perhaps you're a bit bored listening to me. However, pretty soon you get to go in those buses and cars to that wonderful, sweet place called home, where there is food on the table, there are friends next door, all the comforts of modern life. However, scholars, I'd like you to take just one moment to pause and think about all the soldiers throughout time, from the Lexington Green all the way up to Normandy, Fallujah, and beyond, who never got to go home. They gave up their lives that you might have a country where you can vote, a country where you can be tried by a jury of your peers, a country where you can speak your mind without fear of arrest, where you can worship as you choose, where you can keep and bear arms. There are many liberties which have been passed on to you, and these are not liberties that are shared around the world. I would have you know that there are hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people who give anything they have to be sitting where you're sitting right now. There are places in the world, scholars, today, in the year 2016, countries where a woman is not even allowed to drive a car, much less vote. Is that the kind of country we want to pass on to your children?
Hey, sir!
There are places in the world where slavery still exists and is legal. Is that the kind of country you would want to pass on to your children?
Hey, sir!
There are places in the world where poor souls will go to bed tonight behind barbed wire fences, starving and freezing, all because they said something that their government didn't like. Is that the country for your children?
Hey, sir!
And we would hope and pray, scholars, you remember the country that was given to you. And you remember the price that was paid. Because freedom is not free. And millions of people have died protecting it, passing it on to you. For that reason, they say that liberty is a chain. And all of you are very much the next link in that chain. The future of this republic sits right here on the screen. And it is up to all of you to keep it. May You've been a fine group of scholars this day. We do hope you enjoyed your field trip, and we hope to see you, your friends, and your families again soon. Thank you all very much.
Hip hip, huzzah! Hip hip, huzzah! Hip hip, huzzah!